Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Well, today we're going to start working on this trunk lid and getting her all tiddly-poo. Hope everyone had a great week. So I've come out here and I've just gone around and I realigned the hood back to where it's going to be when it's on. Got all my gaps good. Everything's closing nicely. We're nice and even here, which puts us perfectly even over here as well. So I've been working on the back of this thing and it's coming. It's a bit of a struggle. I got almost all the bump out on the left-hand side of the trunk, but I'm starting to run into some problems here on the right-hand side. This is my lovely assortment of dentless or paintless dent repair tools. Hammers, pry bars. This thing, I don't know what you call this. This actually is the cat's ass. This works great. What I do with it, I can get up in behind here, all these holes and stuff, and with this rounded edge on there, I get in behind and I can rock this against it and just help stretch the metal out. And as I've been going, this side here is almost completely out. You can see a couple spots that went a little too far and it's pushed the metal past, which is okay. I can tap that back in with a peen hammer, just peen it back in there. Down here has been a struggle. There's I could gut it out up the top. It's a little crease here that I'm having trouble with, but it is slowly coming. And of course the back, the upper back, everything's pretty good. There's one little dent left here, but right here I'm running into an issue. So as I'm working this side comes out good, and then I start to move another side, then it'll pucker here in the middle. So I'll tap that in, then it'll kind of pop in another spot. And you can see I'm getting this funny crease, and I'm actually getting a crease. There's a bubble of metal here and on this side as well too. And what I think is happening, I'm working this so much, I think it's stretching the metal. I think it's stretched out, one from the accident beforehand, but also from myself. And I think I got too much metal here because these are two high spots and a low crease in the center. So I'm pretty close. So if I put the trunk down, the left side is darn near perfect all the way across. The right side, all except for this little spot right here. You can see it just sticking out. And that's this funky bubbly area right here. So I think I'm going to do, I clean the paint off this and measure this out and line this out pretty good. I think I'm going to get a zip disc and cut this piece out, because I think the problem is, like I said, I got too much metal here now. The working of it has stretched it out, and I don't think I'm ever going to get this to go back properly. Plus, it's going to be a hell of a lot of body work to do. If I had a nice flat piece in here, it'd be good. I could tack it in, grind her down, and then while it's off, that'll give me a better chance to get down in here, because I got to try to get this dent right here out. I don't know if you can see how deep it is. I got to try to get that dent out because I need to save everything around this keyhole where this lock goes. It's recessed and it's got these funky little notches cut in it for the lock to fit in there. So I'm going to clean some paint off and cut a chunk out. Well, take my little piece out. And there we are. There's where it was. And there's no sense in reinventing the wheel. So that piece that come out of there flattened it out, and it just tightened up my cut seams a little better. So I have it out, and I cleaned it up. This is solid metal. There's just a little tiny bit of surface rust in this, but I'll use this again. But now, cutting this out, I use something new. I got myself a new tool. So I picked myself up one of these little 3" by 16th little cutters, and I tell you, this thing is awesome. Runs off the standard 20-volt batteries that everything else I have runs off of for my DeWalt, and I think it's 20,000 RPM. Little 3" blade. It's actually a 1/4" arbor holds in there. I got the spacer in, and this little thing will cut through all kinds of steel, like every type of steel. It's a little metal blade. It's diamond impregnated all along the edge. It's kind of stuck to it. And it's good, supposed to be good for 1,000 cuts, like 30 times the life of the standard discs, the fiber ones. Plus, when you're doing stuff like this, 70% of the dust that gets in your shop is from the disc grinding down. So far it's been working good. I've done some test cuts with it. I really like it. It's light. I put the smallest battery I have on here. It's really light, really easy to get into. And what's unbelievable is that it's reversible, just like a drill. But like when you have your angle grinder and you're trying to cut steel, it always goes away from you. It's always wanting to pull its way through. Well, this one here, if I'm coming down, I can change it so I drag into the cut, so it's a nice controlled cut. And if I have to go up, I switch it the other way, so I'm pushing into the cut as well. You don't get that walking that it tries to do. Now, it's definitely not a grinding disc. You're not going to be using this to clean down the sides or anything like that. You still got to use a regular flappy disc on a regular grinder for that. But just for cutting, getting into these small areas, I think it'll really do well. My friend had one of these. I tried it out, fell in love with it. And I don't buy a lot of tools very often, but this I think will definitely help. So with a couple welding magnets, I'm able to hold that piece in there, and I got the perfect little gap all the way around it. Now, when I had put this together, there's some tension between the outer skin and the inner frame. I had to force these down, kind of roll it in to tack it and get them to hold each other to get the right, angle or levelness on the bottom here. So I'm gonna have to tack that in, and then I'll move on to cutting out this large piece of rotted here. Then I'll clean it up, tack that piece in, move on to the next spot, and kind of work my way along back and forth. Because if I take all this off at one time, all this bad metal, there's nothing left to support it. So I'm just gonna work my way back and forth, cutting and grinding. Hopefully should go back together good. I got lots of tin steel left over from when I did my body panels. And yeah, let's see how it goes. Well, the cutting went well. The stitching went well. And we are on to the welding. So everything seemed to line up pretty good on the lid here. Still got some dents in here, but these are more a little bit of ripples and stuff, and I can work those through the hole. But I got to get this solid first. So all the rust has been cut out. All the rust is gone. I started last night, actually. This is now the next day. And I started fully welding in my patches. Now I am doing full welds, not just tacking. Yeah, you can get away with tacking, but once one tack cracks and works into another one, then it doesn't matter what you have on top, your body fill or whatnot, it'll end up, it'll come through, the cracks will start. So it looks a little rough at first. This is, it's pretty thin metal that we're welding there. It looks a little rough at first, but as we go here, we'll get this finished off. I'm kind of bouncing back and forth into the middle, then to the right, and to the left. And so far, the warping is minimal. It's doing really well. So I'm going to continue on this part here. I got to finish the top half, and then we'll work our way down. And probably about another half hour, 40 minutes, it'll be completely fully welded in, and it'll be time to start grinding this down. And there we go. All the welding is complete on the back of that trunk lid. She's a little heavy in spots. I ended up running into a couple problems where I burned through the original metal, so I had to kind of build it up. But it's okay. Grinder will make me the welder I'm not. So now, I'm just gonna throw a hard disc on, wherever it may be. Oh, there it was. Throw a hard disc on, and get rid of the high spots, the real high spots first. And then I'll come back with a flappy wheel and start smoothing it down. And then I'll probably be able to start seeing any of the pinholes. I'm sure there'll be a few pinholes that I've missed. But really start smoothing that down, getting ready to put on my first layer of Bondo. And just like that, with a pile of dust, the magic of the flappy wheel makes that look way better than any welder might think he is. Definitely not me. But I did run into one problem right down here. When I was grinding that off, not only was I low on my corner with my panel I put in, but the metal starts chewing away here. Actually, there's another spot right here as well too. It's all gone bad, and there is more rust in here. So I'm gonna have to come up here, cut it out again. I'll probably come up with a ½ inch, maybe an inch past this last rut spot, and patch in another spot there. But she's looking really good. Once I get that hole patched in, I'll do one more smoothing with the flappy disc, and also getting a straight edge and going across the top here, or bottom top, whatever, the lip. Make sure that's evened out, and then it's time to start getting ready for Bondo. I'll have to take off some paint on the bottom side here to make sure I got that nice and clean, and I'll probably go with a 60 grit on the orbital sander and scour this really good just to give the Bondo something really good to bite onto. So I'm going to cut that corner out, clean it up, and get this sanded. Well, I'm going to have to apologize. I kind of jumped ahead here and didn't video some stuff on for the old YouTube. But yeah, I gone through and I finished doing up the metalwork on the bottom, cleaned it up, smoothing it out, did a little more bending and tweaking. I had to cut another piece off out there in the corner that I found some bad rust. Actually, it was this corner. It was because it was up the other way. Found some bad rust, so I welded in another spot. And today, it's just beautiful outside here. So, got out the old air file, and I've started stripping this thing down, finding all my low spots and my high spots. Low spots, there's not much I can do. There's quite the under frame underneath this rear trunk lid, and a lot of it is glued on still. So I can't really get under there to push any of these dents out on the back. So I'm going to work them down. Now, even though they are low spots, it's still actually sanding right across. Like, it's feathered from the gray primer right through the brown primer. So really they're not that bad. I'll just have to do a skim coat over top of it with the body fill and make sure that I got them all taken care of. So you can see all the high spots shining brightly. Now, they are not feelable. You cannot feel these high spots. Most of these have feathered in to the surrounding areas, but I do have some like this here, which is the hinge underneath. And I'm pretty sure I caused this when I was pulling the hood off, and I kind of let it rest on the hinges for a bit, and it kind of popped it up. But there is a real high spot there. That one's a high spot, and the same thing over there. Same thing with the hood on the other side. When I pulled it out, I let that hinge kind of rest on there. It's kind of pushed it up. So I got my first round of sanding done just to find my areas. Got a block of wood, a block of steel, and I don't have good metalworking hammers for doing body work, so this is what I use. But it works well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work these high areas just a little bit, give it a little mist coat of primer, then I'll come back and sand these and see how I made out. Well, the day got away from me real fast. I ended up doing that little bit of hammer work, getting down some of the high spots, and I quick blast of primer, a sand again, everything worked out good. Then I went through and I used some body fill, take down or fill in all my low spots. So I'm in the shop here, gonna run some sanding on this, and then we're gonna see how it actually turned out. And just like that, we got a sanded and primed trunk lid, looking awesome. I did go back with a second run of Bondo, a couple little spots, but overall, it turned out really good. And as for the other side, I'm on my third set of Bondo here, my third touch of Bondo, just touching up the little areas, because I did find some more low spots, and there was a couple high spots that I had to make low, just to get that nice profile, because there's too much of a frame in behind it for me to get in there to push any of the dents out. But it's turned out really good as well too. But with the Bondo drying on the trunk lid, I've decided to move the 64 outside. That's right, the old 64 is outside here, looking good. With the light on it, there's a couple little spots I found, but for the most part, it's awesome. It's doing really good. The shape, the contour of everything. I still got to work on my spot here in my wheel arch. The biggest thing I was worried about was the curve of the rear quarters, which turned out awesome. But I got out here today mainly, I'm gonna do those, but gotta finish off this roof. I'm gonna get the roof sanded down, get the body fill put on it where spots might need, prime it in, get all primed in around my windshield area and on the back, and hopefully by the end of today, all the primer on the body is done. And we are back in the shop. So Wheel arch is sanded, so a couple little low spots still. I want to work on that. Same with the front fender. But the roof is ready for its first touch-up of Bondo. Not a lot. Spot here, a little work I had to do here. Other than that, on the other side, there's just some hail spots and a couple really deep chips in the paint that go right to the steel. So I've kind of worked them out. I'll work them out a little better. Make sure I'm down to bare steel. Throw a little Bondo on there, and then we'll give her a sanding and see how she turns out. And there we are with the first run of Bondo on the roof. Now it is it's actually dry, ready to go. A little bit of time has passed here. I'm ready to sand this inside, but I have been busy. So the magic of the internet here, or the magic of the video, let me show you what I've been doing. So I have been busy. Just because I haven't been posting videos on here, I haven't been slacking off. Things are changing. things are getting done. I have the shop, of course. I have the shop done, siding front and back, got my flashings all around. But through the week here, starting last week, I have got a post hole digger driller thingy, and I have dug out all my posts because I am putting a 12 by 12 carport overhang storage here, open for now, all the way around my shop. So I've got these put in, I've got them leveled, they're all topped and cut off. They are ready to go for the main build. Hopefully my parents will be out here visiting in the next 3 weeks or so, and this is a project that me and my dad are going to be able to work on. But they turned out pretty good. I'm down about 4.5 to 5 feet. 36 inches is what's recommended here for a frost line. Seems shallow, so I wanted to go further. So the digger I got had a 3-foot auger, the 2-foot extension. But with the way the handles are and going down, you can only get about somewhere between 4.5 to 5 feet. But I got far enough down, put gravel in the bottom, put my posts in. These are all concreted in. There is a ton of concrete, probably way more than I need to. They only actually required packed gravel or packed dirt around them. That's all really required for my area. But you know what? I am not pounding dirt down in there for hours on end while trying to keep these things straight as an arrow side to side. So the concrete, the liquid that get in there, that work their way around that pole, they are going nowhere now. But that's what I've been up to. I also took a little trip with Lek, the wife, a few times. So it's been busy. It's been good. But it's now time to get back onto the 64. All it's doing is sanding, like we always do. I'll spare that. We'll catch you again next week. Hopefully next week. And until then, subscribe. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the follows. Catch you all again later.